About children of the waning star. Hola, hola. There's like someone who started a cult on TikTok, and now everybody's talking about it. I wish people would pay more attention to internet cults. I mean, not to the cults, but to the fact that they exist. And something very interesting that we always do with our language when we're explaining cults. And we always say, it started off good. Like she started it off because she wanted to build this community because she had lost her dog or something. Like it didn't start off good. It didn't. I've never heard of one single instance where someone tried to start an intentional community and then just whoops, accidentally started manipulating everyone and coercing their labor, coercing and exploiting, right? Like, I don't know of one single scenario where that's true. That's the story that we're told about every single cult. Children of God survivors will swear that it started off about love, faith, and Jesus. But, like, surprise, surprise, he had already abused all of his own daughters and slept with all of his daughters in law in front of his sons. Like, it didn't start off good. She got on the internet to build a following, anything with a following would do, so that she could have a following of people to manipulate. And now she's doing that. And it's like, I watched a few different creators on this, and they're all repeating this. First of all, she jokes about being a cult. Stop. No organization that is joking about being a cult is good. Alcoholics Anonymous. Like, when we have a good group experience, the thought of cults doesn't come up because we're not being coerced. We're just free and supported, right? Same thing in a family. If we're in a good family, we don't feel like it's a cult. So there is zero knitting or crochet in my outfit. That is correct. I got this amazing jewelry on my last jewelry haul, and I got this in New York City, and I'm being lazy today. Um, but I made these. They match my hair. So I think what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna next Thursday or something, I have a hair appointment, and I'm gonna put maroon that like fades into the teal because we're gonna have a teal ivory maroon phase. Um, And then when the book launches and we have the Cults Always Promise space travel phase, I'm just gonna make it all white. Just gonna go straight. So there's some woman named Gigi who's doing some things. I'm going to get in some products, my whole set, and I'm going to talk about it. And then I'm going to talk about that cult thing again. All right, so I have these two books I'm reading right now, a little bit each morning. White Women Get Ready, how post-traumatic mistress syndrome, how healing post-traumatic mistress syndrome leads to anti-racist change. One of the things you can be doing right now, white women. I'm deconstructing your own stuff so you can help all those people coming out. Generation Hope, how inclusive economics can help us all thrive. Read them a little bit every day. Cult tactic of first thing of the day. Sets your sets your tone. So in the army, we work out. In the children of God, we pray and read a bunch of bull crap. My book, which was just, oh my gosh, very cool author moment for me because so I read the book Educated, listened, and I said, I'm going to write the next one of those. And everyone said, ha ha ha. And then my book came out 4 years later in the vein of Educated and Glass Castle. And now Simon and Schuster's big cult book that they're putting out said, for fans of Daniela Mestenek Young's Uncultured and Tara Westover's Educated. That's so cool. And I'm going to reach out to her and be like, hey, I'm going to put your book on my book club list and help you sell it. Uh, no, and nobody who's met Eric Prince is going to talk to you about it. Conspiracy. Sit down. Uncultured is an audio. It's on Spotify or anywhere else you get your audios, including libraries. I just hear there's a long wait, which is cool. What other books? Okay, we have we do memoir and fourth cult theory books. So it's 2 meetings a month. And so the theory books was Margaret Singer, not Margaret Sanger, Margaret Singer's Cults in Our Midst, Yanya Lalich's Take Back Your Life, Alexandra Stein's Terror, Love, and Brainwashing. And right now we are on Martha Stout's The Sociopath Next Door. On memoir, we read Uncultured, Educated, Rising Out of Hatred, about leaving white supremacy, Scarred, about Nexium by Sarah Edmondson, Mike Rinder's book about Scientology. We read The Community by J. Milia Chisholm about the Nubian Nation just last month. We read Jesus Land in there somewhere about the Troubled Teen Institute. We read The Secret Practice by Joel Chamraz, 1-1 Yoga Cult. You can get this one in my shop as well. And we end with Tia Leving's A Well-Trained Wife, and I'm gonna have signed copy from her. So that's fun. Okay, then also now, finally, due to popular demand, have my Rainbow Girls, which is very interesting because my impression from the people who have been in my house was that this one was by far the most popular. But in fact, it's turning out to be this one based on sales. So that's great. Oh, thanks for reading my book so quickly. So she is called Stolen Potential. And she is called Who Am I? And she is called Whoever the F I Want. And she is called Healed. And those are my Rainbow Girls. And that was my like story before I found the words. Um, and then our last thing is children's book. The kind of children's book that I like to say is for first generation parents, those of us who had no models that we can emulate. My Body is Sacred for girls comes with, if you wanted to, a lovely art print called All Vulvas Are Beautiful. These ones are grown-up ones. In the book, you have the children's ones. And so many of our lives would have been different if we'd seen those, huh? I have a video on TikTok right now going viral about vulva trauma for women from the patriarchy, and everyone's just like adding their stories, and it is all right. So, um, oh, I scripted the whole half of the musical yesterday, so that's actually what I'm gonna do is just, like, read you some songs from the musical, but not the end-time rap because I don't feel like rapping today. I'm too tired for that. My guitar is broken because I learned you shouldn't tighten strings that much, so hopefully my brother is going to change them for me soon. So that I can keep learning. Right now, I can play Shake It Off badly and You Belong With Me even badlier. Um, all right. Mm, Musical. Oof. I had such a long day yesterday, and then I was like, I'm just gonna write some songs down because that's what makes me happy right now. Oh, you want to say hi to the people? No, you're just like, how come there's no tuna in my food? Yeah, okay, fine. Like, he doesn't bark at me about it first thing in the morning anymore. He waits till I go live. You know, he's a Republican, y'all. You'll have to forgive him. I mean, literally, you will have to forgive them because some of them are waking up right now, and that's the only option. Okay. So yeah, all these people have been like, what is this waning star TikTok thing? And like, from what I can tell, some chick named Gigi said that she started a community, was trying to start a community because she lost a dog or something. But then it was a cult. They named it a cult. They joked about it being a cult. Oh, emoji, yeah. It was just like, no bueno. And now apparently they're doing all this bad stuff and everybody's getting concerned. And one of the things, like, shitty people are going to pop up. Don't go look at it. Like, don't go there. Don't get involved. Like, internet cults are a real thing. But like, there's just like two things I want people to understand out of this narrative already, which is it didn't start off good. She didn't want to start a community. She wanted to start a following that she could manipulate. Every cult leader, every time, I don't know one single instance of where it started off good. Not even Alcoholics Anonymous. No, it was always about manipulation. Uh, and then the other thing is like when people are joking about being a cult, it's not good. When groups are joking about being cults, they're not good groups. When we have good group experiences that don't coerce and manipulate us, the term cult does not pop into our minds. It just doesn't. Also about manipulation and labor. All right. So we've had the opening, which I've read to you a couple of times. No, no, no. Branding yourself as an expert in cults is not the same as joking about cults. Nice try. Also, children who grew up in cults are allowed to joke about cults. And you know what we never do? We never start groups and make jokes about cults. I'm going to do a musical that's making tons of jokes about cults. That's what I'm about to read to you. But we're not going to jokingly call ourselves a cult when we're the actors about to get on stage. Okay? Sit down. Thanks. Promise you, you're not gonna gotcha the expert. You're not. This is my business and I know what I'm doing. You could just sit there and learn like you would if I was a man. Yeah, that's an option you have, sir. Maxim, which I assume is aspirational for you. All right. So we've had the opening where all the cult leaders come out, cult members come out and get on the chessboard. And then we have somebody asked me if I was Brazilian. Oh, no soy brasileña. Pero yo crecí 10 años en Brasil, después 2 años en México, 2 años 4 a casi 17. Entonces, soy poquito brasileña y poquito mexicano. It is a kink for them. What's with my neckline, Jim Joe? It's lovely and it's my body, and I'm a grown ass adult that gets to do whatever I want to do in my kitchen. And you should not be having any out loud thoughts about it. No, no, no. Those are inside thoughts, buddy. Okay. So then we're gonna have the end time wrap, which I've kind of scripted out, but it's gonna be so different. I think it's not really worth reading until I get a songwriter in here. Okay. Then we're gonna have the little end of the end time wrap. This is what's gonna happen. What's in store? We are wrapping you a few. There are hundreds more. But don't be worried. Don't be scared. Just be wise. Open your eyes. Memorize and be prepared. And then the door knocker's gonna be like, Madam, don't you want to be prepared? And the woman at the door with the crying baby covered in spaghetti sauce is gonna be like, I just wanted to eat my dinner. And then it's gonna go black. So Marines are the cultiest. When you're not a cult, you don't have to say you're a cult. When you're not the cultiest, you don't have to say you're not the cultiest. And now a bunch of offended Marines are going to come here and start yelling at you that they're the cultiest. Like, why? Why would you do that? I don't have enough crayons for them. Oh, the Marines. All right. The making of a cult baby. I think I decided yesterday that my Marine needs to have, I would like to have a Marine with a missing limb that can play the part that in the end is also a visibly disabled cult member. I think that's a good way to do it. Trying to think of how to put wheelchairs in it too, but I'm having a hard time. Okay, so then it goes black, and then it's like the making of a cult baby. So vegans aren't necessarily a cult, like veganism. If there's an ism to it, that's the belief system. But vegans, the reason nobody likes to talk to vegans is that cult sense of superiority. Like, I'm better than you because. Um, which is funny because if you research the history of white veganism and how it comes into America, is through eugenics and pedophilia and Seventh day Adventists. Well before concern for animals or health came into the picture. Is it always about racism? Yes, yes, it is. Every time. Okay, so the making of a cult baby, right? So stage is stripped down. The puppet child is in the middle. The children, the cult children in the musical are puppets because I will not make more child actors, and also because I las sectas se caracterizan a los abusos sexuales, and you're asking me if the Marines have sexual abuse? Ay, ay, ay. Los marinos son los peores con la estupra de sus mujeres en uniforme y de los otros marinos hombres también. Yes, the Marines have sexual abuse. I wrote a book about growing up in the Children of God sex cult and then going into the sex cult of the US Army. There's also a saying that all cults are sex cults, and I pretty much agree. Okay. No, I know. I'm not. I'm no soy enojado. Solo más sorprendido que no has sabido esto de los marinos, que es tan, tan, tan problemático. Okay. Yes. Children of God. Freaky stuff. All right. So making of a cult baby, right? So cult child is there, little Danny, little Daniela. She's smiling, right? She's being puppeted by a woman behind her, all in black. And it's the making of a cult baby. Rule one. Um, I need to see something. It was not the document I wanted. How do I find those like histories? Info? Version history. Kyle, Senor. Okay, we need a working script. There we go. That's my problem. Okay, I think I found the right one. Hey, the door knockers. Okay, the making of a cult, baby. Rule one, the first rule of cults is you're never in a cult. Okay, so the cult child is dancing, the puppet, right? And the chorus is singing. I don't write songs, so someone's gonna like set this to music, and these are just kind of marker words, but this is the idea. Okay. Smile on command, swallow every insult, born to obey, baptized in control. Raise your hands up high, give your body, mind, and soul. You're chosen, you're lucky. Don't question the cost. Forget who you were, let that girl get lost. Obedience is love, and doubt is a sin. So silence your thoughts. Let the teachings begin. Don't call it grooming, just follow the plan. Curtsy for Jesus and clap for the man. And then the child says, I love Jesus. I love work. I love living without perks. And the chorus echoes, she loves Jesus. She loves work. She loves sleeping in the dirt. And then this leader voice said, a happy child is a youthful child. And then this might have to get longer. I don't know. Rule two, they'll forgive any sin except when you leave. Doubt is betrayal. Obey and believe, right? She's growing up and they're now inculcating fear of the outside. Doubt is okay. The world is a trap full of evil and lies. So follow the script and avoid their eyes. They taught you to fear what lives outside. So smile on cue and swallow your pride. It's us versus them. That's how you belong. They broke you down just to make you strong. Freedom's a myth. Love comes with a price. So show your devotion and don't ask twice. Puppets Daniela is, thank you, family. I'm so blessed. I just got 4 hours of rest. And the chorus says, she's so grateful. She's so blessed. She's survived. So this is best. Stay sweet, stay small, just obey and do it all. And the light shifts. Rule three. All of a sudden, one femme from the chorus just steps forward in the spotlight and says, even if he did it, doesn't mean he's guilty. And then I don't know how the costumes are going to get changed, but anyways, the males in the chorus are going to grab chairs and start dragging them to the side. The femmes in the chorus are going to start lighting up, and then all of a sudden the spotlight's going to snap to the back, and our lieutenant is going to enter. Stage is going to get all red, and the lieutenant is going to appear, and she is going to be in like full on like I can do it with a broken heart meets military like burlesque, right? So like tailored glittering officer's jacket with absurdly bedazzled epaulets, fishnet stockings with combat boots, like beret, with rhinestones on it, and just, dog tags clinking on the cleavage, medals pinned, aviator. Anyways, right. So just gonna walk to the front and say, "You wanna know what justice looks like on the inside?" Snap her fingers. And so begins the tango. Fem 1, church lady. And this is supposed to be like a even if he okay, yeah, so the lieutenant's gonna sing out, I think. Even if he did it, doesn't mean he's guilty. And he'll never have to pay. This is a rifle, by the way. Sam, church lady, he was chosen, anointed, washed in the blood. So what if her dress had a little red mud? She tempted him, just like Eve. He laid hands. Now let's believe. And the male of the chorus in like a shaggy is wasn't me. I don't recall. She's confused. It was night after all. And then all the femmes, flat and resigned, sang, "And he'll never have to pay." Them too, therapist. He's got childhood trauma, a rough little past, which you call abuse, we call moving too fast. She's misremembering, her memory is flawed. He's not abusive, he's just odd. Male chorus this time in a country twang. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. She cried wolf and now I'm going through it. And Tess says, poor guy. And all the femmes say, and he'll never have to pay. Femme 3, the principal. She broke the dress code. She smiled too wide. She walked alone. She didn't hide. He's respected. He's a mentor. You think he'd do that? What for? Male chorus. It wasn't me. She said no, but she meant yes. I got text. This ain't no guess. In the shaggy impressions. Femme 3. She's 14. All the femmes. And he'll never have to pay. Femme 4. HR rep. Her folders. He brings in donors. She brings complaints. Let's write a check and say some saints. She broke protocol. Filed too late. Now she's a liability. That's fate. Male chorus in their country twang. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. She just want fame, can't admit she blew it. Femme 4. Well, all the femmes. And he'll never have to pay. She just drops her folder. That's what she does. Femme 5. Sergeant Major. He's a warfighter, a goddamn Marine. You expect honor in an MRE latrine? She froze, she lied, she's breaking his name. But we've got a system that protects the game. Male chorus in their shaggy end country now. It wasn't me. That's my story. All the femmes. And he'll never have to pay. Femme 6, the mom fluencer. Her ring glow light and her phone. He's a good guy, big smile, blue check, build a brand, cut a deal, signed a Netflix spec. She's just bitter, out for clout. If it really happened, she'd speak out. Male chorus, shaggy, it wasn't me. Country, that's my story. Lieutenant, he's got fans and funds and fame. She's got screenshots, but not his name. All femme stomping, and he'll never have to pay. And then it just kind of keeps going. And then crescendos, blah, 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 blah. And then finally at the end, the lieutenant says, it's the deification of idiosyncrasy. And he'll never have to pay. And it's like, it wasn't me sticking to it, and he'll never have to pay. It wasn't me sticking to it, and he'll never have to pay. Boom. Chairs crashed. Everything collapses, and the child puppet is just like watching from the corner. And then the chorus says, labor, devotion, blood for the cause, smile on command, don't question the laws. And the kid's voice says, I don't want to do this anymore. And kind of like stops smiling for the camera. Music drops out. Silence. A van door slams. Troubled teen industry figures in neutral polos appear and drag the child away. And the chorus sings. That's how you make a cult baby, born to serve, not to save. A star in the show, but never the name. And then they sing out, we'll love you just the way you are. If you're perfect, blackout. And you hear the sound of the door slamming shut. And then in the next song, she's back. And it's the real actor this time, like a teenage girl. There'll be someone who can, pay a 20-year-old. This is the lieutenant, is now back. And it's welcome to the family international. And you also kind of have a like, welcome to the family beat going on in the background. Have a bunch of color, right? Everything is fake joy and performance. And teenage Daniela is back. She's beaming and she's perfect and she's got the dead dissociated eyes. And she's all, yeah, perfect. And then the chorus floods the stage in missionary drag, white shirts, name tags, skirts, flags. And this is going to be like Mormon missionary ceremony meets army branching ceremony, which I kind of described as like the NFL draft ceremony. um, and so they're all going to be getting their flags and singing like Bienvenido a la familia internacional, right? Willkommen zur Familie international, whatever international is in German. And then we'll have like 10 languages or something, right? Maybe even all 16. We'll see how it develops. And then they'll be like, once everyone gets their assignments, then they're going to be like marching around in a circle. And be like, welcome to the family. It's been waiting for you. Welcome to the family. We've been waiting for you. Welcome to the family. The music's gonna swell, and the whole time, like the teenage girl is kind of like dancing through the chorus and doing the performance and being perfect and like getting ready to be a missionary. And all of a sudden, she just like doesn't and stops and she freezes, drops her hands, and her smile cracks. And she steps forward and she screams at the top of her lungs, I want to leave the family. And then the curtain starts to fall quite slowly. And it says, and we hear, I am what I am because you trained me. And you're going to start hearing all these teenage voices saying, aren't we the fruit that you've been raising up so well? And then Uh, the curtain finally drops with a thud. Boom. And then the dad voice is going to ring out and say, now don't go telling people you were abused in our church. And a beat teenage voice, raw, confused, and defiant, says, Dad, you excommunicated Uncle Creepy for abusing us. Another beat. The reply comes flat, cold, dismissive, an iron wall of denial. Well, we aren't talking about that. And you hear the children again. Aren't we the fruit that you've been raising up so well? Blackout, intermission. Someone asked me to tell them about my evil whiteness, but we don't get there until the song Skinny, Skinny Blonde Woman. And that's still a couple songs away. So you'll just have to be patient. 10 years. All right. So the Epstein list. Why is this the thing? It's like, I think most people are thinking of this as just another thing on the list of horrors that he's done. And yes, that is true. but it was the mission, right? So there's always in a cult a mission. It's not the leader. Like people don't join a group to worship a person. That's what non-sympathetic outsiders make it seem like, right? They join almost all cults will either get into politics or philanthropy because those are the two ways that they will be able to attract people and also have this mission that they can very easily weaponize. So, um, y'all try to mock me, asking me if I'm trans or telling me I look like a man, but here's what I know that you don't. All of the most beautiful people are rather homogenous. Yeah, sit the fuck down. Oh, friend, I'm not gonna make it to that song today, but um, there are some things that I have written. Let's see, that's on the old script. Okay, I'll give you the overview of that song. That's the big like finale song, and then I wrote the ending, which I'm pretty proud of too. So, um, okay, so okay, so first of all, on the second half, okay, so we went all the way through intermission, right? Everyone runs, goes and gets their stuff, goes to the bathroom, comes back. And we have another opening where they're coming out this snow, but this time it's all military. And they're like, this snow also that in the airborne perilous time shall come. This snow also that in special operations aviation, perilous time, they get on their chessboard, right? And we're having military thought stopping cliches. Like it's a whole thing. Okay. Um, and then there's gonna be a song called "Drink the Kool-Aid," which I haven't even started yet, but it's just gonna be a montage of military programming. Basically, we're gonna give you, like, all of the basic training boot camps and, like, show you the game, and show you the game. And then we're gonna have a song called I don't wanna read what I've written yet 'cause it's too terrible. Okay, so then we're gonna have a song called "Have a Day," and this is like the bop of the whole thing, plus call it what you want, call it what you want to. So and this song I am writing a musical, yeah. And this song so there's 2 things about being a lieutenant, which is the lowest officer rank, like the brand new baby leader, and it's that you have to salute absolutely everyone you walk by because either they're saluting you and you're returning the salute or you're saluting them because they're officers who outrank you. And also that you are given so much pressure and so much responsibility, like for a 22-year-old, that it is just kind of off the chain. And so in this song, all I've written of it is it goes, have a day, but up, have a day. And the rest of my family's like, can you please write the rest of that song? Because it gets stuck in my head. And she's gonna be going through, and it's gonna be kind of this like gypsy hippie thing with the chorus, and they're like celebrating her, and then they're kind of like handing her stuff, and you're slowly she's getting weighed down by all the stuff. And then finally at the end, they're pushing her, literally pushing her down, and she's like, I'm fine. And then she goes, I'm not fine. As her knees like break the plane and land on the duffel bag that you suddenly see there. And then she just kind of like drops her head and crumples. And then you hear the disembodied voice saying, but the cult baby motto is, I can do it with a broken heart. So she lifts her head up, she throws off the chorus, and she picks up the duffel bag and she goes, I'm fine. And then boom, blackness. And I don't really know all the transitions here yet, but then the next song is Skinny, Skinny Blonde Woman. And this is the song wherein she goes from spunky lieutenant, naive, spunky, lieutenant to like perfect blonde Captain Barbie who's like trying so hard to play the game and do what they say and run faster and jump higher and blah blah blah. And then and the whole chorus is going to be in like bad blonde wigs, by the way. And they're going to be, around her, like encouraging her on this path, and like sort of like the patriarchy climb the ladder narrative. And so then at one point she's going to be literally climbing a ladder, right? And there's also a ton of purity culture stuff over all of this too, okay? Because that's where I got my dosage of purity culture from, was from the army and from white America. Um so, and then at one point she's climbing the ladder, and then she hits her head on the ceiling, or on the glass ceiling, and the glass ceiling shatters and starts falling down. And she's gonna be bleeding from the head. There's gonna be birds, right? And then they're gonna like turn into like a chorus of intersectional feminists, like discouraging her from this path. And then the last line is gonna be Audre Lorde's, "You'll never destroy the master's house with the master's tools." Or sorry, "The master's tools will never destroy the master's house." And then the I always think of it as knitting cult baby, but the puppet jumps up from the floor and she's like, "Nah, bro, I'm out." And then the lieutenant kind of does the bell lean on the ladder, and she goes, "Ah, that girl." So wicked. And then she jumps down, uh, crouches into jumps down, lands in a crouch, strikes a match on her boot, which is not a real thing, um, and then steps forward and like immolates the chessboard. And as she's stepping forward, the chorus is gonna pull off her uniform, and she's gonna be in this like full Medusa coated, just like glory, and she's gonna stand there and let the crowd cheer for like 2 minutes. And then she's gonna give a little "as you were," which we've already done in the first half, and is from the musical Six. And then the curtains are gonna come down, and then you're gonna have, okay, so now I go back to the script. So that's the concept for the Skinny Skinny Blonde Woman song. Um, so then okay, so then Skinny Skinny Blonde Woman song, so then that's the big climax of the show, okay. Then I'm gonna come out with me and a guitar, and I'm gonna be wearing, like, huge pink pants, hugely wide legs, bright pink, corset that I already have, knee-length fuzzy coat that I have knitted in pink, okay. And then it's gonna be like, I'm gonna say, "Hi, I'm Knitting Coat Lady, the person whose life story inspired what you just watched. Though I flatter myself to think you might have seen a glimpse of your own story in there too. I wrote this whole show. Well, I borrowed and stole all the best lines, just like the cult told me. And I've made a workbook, not a healing workbook because healing doesn't follow directions, but a deconstruction workbook where you write a letter to your past self, to the child who survived the group. I'm going to have like photos, I think. To the teenager who rebelled just enough to get you out. To the young adult who ran so far and so fast, trying to outrun a trauma that never stopped chasing her. I don't have my army photo. To the adult who finally collapsed, cracked wide open, and bled her story onto the page. And then to the you that you are now, the healed you, or the healing you, the adult you needed all those years ago. But the truth is, I couldn't write a better letter to my inner child than Peach PRC already did. So I'd like to sing her version. And fair warning, if you haven't cried tonight yet, or if you found yourself laughing just a little too loudly, this might be your moment. And that's what we call emotional evocation. So go ahead and feel it. Feel open, raw, unraveled. But maybe don't talk to the Hare Krishnas in the parking lot or any military recruiters for at least the next 24 to 48 hours. And then we're gonna sing this song, which is super sad and beautiful. And I'm like, my plan is like, I'll have a photo thing of my pictures going. My plan is also like, if this artist is ever available, she can come perform it. If I'm not available, someone from the cast can perform it, and they can, it can just be different every time. I think it's fun. Anyway, so her song goes, "Someone kissed my closing eyelids, and I made it mean more than it did. And someone put a plate down a little too loud. Now I flinch whenever I hear the sound." And it sounds like this. "As I'm getting older, I learned my mama was just trying her best. And not that I owe her forgiveness. But I'm sorry to that girl in a dress. So if you want to wear pink, I'll wear it for you. And like in my plan, I'm gonna have the end time rap video and I'm wearing these pink dancing pianos. Like, and if you want to dance, then I'll strap up my shoes. And if you want to sing, then consider it sung. I'm sorry that you had to grow up this young. This is the line I don't think I can replace, which is why I just need the whole song. Um, and also during this chorus, I'm gonna have the chorus come out and start singing because I'll need the support and I don't sing that well, but probably I'll be crying. Forget that love is earned because it's always deserved. I know you had to work just to show them your worth. Remember that a plate is nothing but a plate. And I have an idea that I will have like this like silver trash can sitting right there. And then when it says, and even if it breaks, we can throw it away. And I'll just like break a plate in there. As I'm getting older, I learned that I was only trying my best, and I think I owe her a deep breath. She was the strongest little girl in a dress. And this is when I would have like my graduation photo there, and I'm in like a pink dress. And so if you want to wear pink, I'll wear it for you. And if you want to dance, then I'll strap up my shoes. And if you want to sing, then consider it sung. I'm sorry that you've had to grow up this young. And then there's this bridge, which will be all my military photos. You were the strongest little fighter who carried me here. And I know that you're tired from surviving in fear. So lay down, close your eyes. 'Cause now I got us for the rest of our life. And then the last one is, so if I want to wear pink, I'll wear it for me. And if I want to dance, I'll lift up on my feet. And I just wanna sing at the top of my lungs. Thanks for being there, growing up so young. Uh, right. And I'm gonna be like, whoo, okay, that was a lot of feelings in public. But that's kind of the point, right? We heal in community. We heal by witnessing each other. And now I give you our incredible chorus to sing our final number, Living with It. I should warn you, after this, you might feel a little wobbly, a little euphoric, a little cracked open, a little high on people. Just remember what I said about the recruiters, okay? And I'm going to say, go easy on yourself. You survived. I'm going to go get in line with the chorus. And then the last song, Living with It, it's going to be very like thunderous goddess anthem, but part choral revelation. It's like karma meets Paris Paloma's labor meets glory with a side of glitter and liberation. And my idea is like everyone is wearing these big shaggy jackets that have been knitted, hopefully by not just me. And that'll be the end. And the final song is just like everybody taking off their cult costumes. I guess so they won't actually have the jackets. Like everyone will just be dressed like how they are in real life. Except for the queen, she'll turn into Prince Harry. Um, and there you go. That is the musical. I just still have to write tons of it, but this is my main job now that I'm done with the book. So we can encore with ABBA songs. I don't know. I think there can be an encore with like there's this song called Cult by Candy Carpenter, growing up as like leaving a cult that I would love to like put in the show if I can. But I also just kind of at the end, I wanna be playing the whole "Call it what you want, call it what you want to." And I'm gonna put like, I already decided, like, in the whole lobby is just gonna be, like, a treasure hunt of, like, deconstruction resources, like, "Scan here for a cult book list, and scan here for, like, therapists that are cult educated," and blah, blah, blah. But I also decided, like, in the musical, I'm gonna educate you completely about programming and deconstruction. Everything you need to know in this one show. And we'll do it as a movie for sure so that people can, like, watch it 1,000 times because I know trauma survivors need that. Um, and that's it. So, you know, yeah, it's cute. if you try to tease me about being too white, because I'm allergic to the sun. I know how white I am, but also why I look so young. Also, the growing up so young is great because my last name is Young, you know. So, um, yeah, it's not, I mean, it's attacking itself because now they're fighting for power. But like what happened, I've definitely seen before. Like it happened to the children of God. Uh it's their mission. The mission just evaporated. He just told them the mission is off. You see this happen with soldiers all the time. There is no more rowdy group of people than a group of soldiers who was ready to go marauding. And all of a sudden they're just like, nope, sit down. Um, so this was the mission, right? This was, people are looking at it as like, why is this one thing so much worse to them as everything else that he's done? But like, this isn't just another thing on the list of horrors. Signalgate was really cracking for a lot of veterans and government workers, but it was just another thing on the list of horrors. But this was the mission, right? Like, this is why people got into MAGA. And very importantly, this is why so many people pushed themselves, 70 million Republicans pushed themselves past other things that they never would have gotten on board with. Like, I mean, the freaking Mormons and Catholics and evangelicals are in bed together. Imagine, right? They all hate each other. And here they are because of this mission, right? And you've just yanked the mission out from under them. That ended the children of God. They literally came back and said, uh, you know, they came back and said, oh, yeah, Jesus told us he's not coming back in our lifetime anymore. And that was like, that had been the whole mission. The whole mission was the end time was going to start any day. And then 7 years after that, Jesus was going to come back. And they kept moving the goalposts, they kept doing the thing, but when they finally came out and were like, "Yeah, it's not happening," like, the whole thing cracked up. And so I think it's cracking up, and that's good. And I think, like, kind of the opposite of what I told y'all at Christmas. At Christmas, when I was like, "Save your peace, you're not talking anyone out of their brainwashing because right now their cult is winning." Like, this is the opposite. What if you suspect that someone has had a crack in the brainwashing? Like, if anyone in your MAGA circle is like talking about this, it's a great time to just ask them questions. Ask them questions about why this is different for them. Ask them questions about, why they were able to look past other things. Just ask them questions because what is true about every single cult is it's not logical, right? So the logic is not defensible. And that's part of why they like cartoons and comics so much. Um, so if you ask them to logic it out, and they've had that little crack, right? Cracks let light in. So this can be really, really important right now, basically. So ah, yeah. Um, and then also like we have to accept them back, you know? And like that sucks. It sucks to be the bigger people. It does. That's all I have to say about that. El asunto es cuando la secta llega a la política y otros factores que influyen. Yeah, this is true. So we're saying that when the cult gets politics, things change. Yes, that's true. But we have people that understand cults and politics talking to each other. And when a political cult is a subset of cult, a totalitarian nation is a subset of cult. Um, we had a very interesting conversation on the podcast last night about how the cult of America is kind of under this worldview of capitalism, white supremacy, and racism, and that like all of our groups in this system are influenced by that. um yeah, and you might also not get that apology. Like, it sucks, but like many people will leave a cult but not deconstruct. And that's still better than them being in the cult and giving him all that power of having that many people behind them. And it's not like, I'm not saying you have to forgive them. Like, I hate the toxic, like, forced forgiveness thing, but I'm just saying, like, the only option here is kind of like, let them come join our tent or they're going to be pushed back. People go back to cults when they can't find a place in the outside world. Um, so if the leader says it's a cult from the beginning, yes, it's probably a cult. If you're talking about the waning star thing, like, nobody says they're a cult not as a joke, but I think that joking about your organization being a cult is already telling me, like, you have toxic stuff going on. Because when we have good group experiences, the cult doesn't come up. So I think two things going on with that cult that is being started right now is people giving her the benefit of the doubt that she started it as a good thing. Disagree. I don't know one single situation of someone who genuinely started a community for good that then just decided to start coercing and manipulating people and taking their labor in order to build power for themselves. I think that's a narrative we have been sold by cult survivors, like, meaning well, but, um, I do talk about the cult of Teal Swan, and I specifically mentioned her in my book, and specifically on the musical, our woo-woo influencer lady is gonna be in, like, a crocheted version of Bjork's swan dress in teal. Good group experience is definitely relative. This is one of the things, like, all large cults have a larger base of people than ever was really in their membership who only experience the good things. Like, many yoga commune cults, like, give classes to the outside world, and they're just, like, fine, regular yoga classes. Um, Although they're probably still manipulative and teaching bad crap and all this because it's still, like, a feeder for them into the cult. But, like, there are many people that just only interacted with the, like, entertainment aspect of Children of God or the charity work or whatever. There's many people who have only interacted with the Salvation Army as a charity front. So, like, there's that kind of good group experience. There's also just the difference between being a man and a woman. Like, every cult that we know of is patriarchal. Every cult that we know of, women are a servant class, even the ones led by women. And so if you're a straight white man or a straight man in an international cult, like, I don't think you had the worst experience in a cult. And by this token, I think that the women experts actually understand cults better than the men do. And I think that's even more true for the children that become experts because we understand all of that. Like, there's stuff that cult joiners who have become experts don't understand that I think I understand. One of them being that this narrative that it started off good and went bad is absolutely part of the con from the beginning. Oh, my life was limited for nudity again. Shenyun. I went to Shenyun when I was like 23. Didn't clock any of it. I was just like, oh, nice show. Um, all right, I'm gonna go. I've got therapy soon. I will be back later this afternoon to read to the internet. We gotta finish the workbook. Yay! I don't know about societies or parts of life where cults don't crop up because I've spent the last since I was 22 years old studying the parts where cults do crop up and the groups that are cults. And I don't like this question very much. Um, yeah, I've just written a book about how called The Culting of America. So I'm not the person to make an argument about where the good groups are. I don't study those. Oh, Brian's still crying, making me money with his comments. Oh, yeah, thanks for listening. Anyway, so Yeah, I mean, it's been collapsing the whole time. Like, as soon as he took office, people's brainwashing started cracking because the promise of the cult is always a lie. Right? That's why we didn't see much movement in the cult for the 4 years that Biden was in power because they could still be striving. But now you've got it. You're the president. What's happening? Right? And he makes more and more cult choices, and people start waking up. So I think the opposite of a cult is a progressive social movement. I agree. Yeah. This is like one of my examples of like a not cult is Black Panthers. Also maybe Costco. Um, but like Black Panthers was a movement, and that's not saying that it doesn't hurt individuals. I think any kinds of organizations can hurt individuals because they're just stronger than individuals. But and I think like potentially everything under, again, the aforementioned soup of the white supremacy, capitalism, and patriarchy, like everything under that is still going to be problematic. Like, it's one of the things I think about nonprofits, right? Like, actually, to answer these complex questions that nonprofits supposedly serve, first of all, we could just have government services like other modern countries do. But, we gave that away. So now it's private people. So it's already problematic, right? It's what rich individuals are interested in. That's what we have nonprofits for. And then, like, the best answer for alcoholics, right? The best answer for addicts is going to be a different thing for each person. It's going to be a complex recipe of therapy, of meds, and of an entire community supporting. But a different answer for every person doesn't give you good metrics. And one of the things nonprofits have to do is collect metrics so that they can prove their worth, prove their need to exist, and raise money, right? So, under capitalism, every organization's actual mission is to perpetuate themselves. And then the mission is actually second. And that's why you almost always see when it comes down to one member of an organization hurting another one, you see them supporting the one that hurt the organization because they want to protect, or the individual, because they want to protect the organization more than they want to help individuals, no matter how much they say they're a family, or maybe especially so. Right. So this is, but then it's also just like, you know, I see people looking at it the other way. Like, some groups are bad groups, but maybe if they can prove that. But most of our groups are good groups. And I'm coming at it as an intelligence officer, right? So I came at getting a master in group behavior the exact opposite way, being like, why are you all assuming that all these corporations you're going to work for are the good guys? Like, when we look at threat analysis, we never ever say there's no threat. We're never like, nope, nothing's gonna happen to you today. We're always like, low threat. Even when I was sending my guys home at 3 o'clock in the afternoon because they had found the end of the internet that day, I would always say to my boss, they'd be like, oh, leaving at 1600? I'd be like, yes, sir. Air threat over Fort Campbell, Kentucky is low. It was actually zero. It was actually completely zero. But you don't say that. And even like on a podcast yesterday with White Woman Whisperer, and I was like naming like maybe Black Panthers, maybe Costco. And I was like, even that makes me nervous because then they're going to do something shitty. And it's like, oh, turns out wasn't, you know? And I think one of the things that bothers people about my area of expertise is they want an answer. They want to be like, oh, well, all our groups can't be bad. Like, what's the answer? And it's like, no, the individual, you got to protect yourself all the time. You always got to be on guard, just like a woman in the military. Always got to be on guard. All the groups around you trying to get you. That's why I completely shifted my focus from like trying to get the groups to be better, because the only ones that were going to hire me were going to be places like Costco anyway. you know, Trying to get the groups to be better to just trying to help individuals understand the way that groups operate and manipulate us so that we can figure out beforehand. Um, Wes, about military, same brothers and sisters. They do call themselves a family, and I have written now 2 books about the U.S. military being a cult. So, my answer for that. I am, in fact, the first cult educated expert that we know of that has military experience. And I'm also, shockingly, the first one to not just give them their cult exemption. No, it's a cult, and it hurts people. Hey, friend. All right. Got to go. Barry, if you don't care what I'm saying, but you're here in my kitchen, yikes on your life. That's an interesting choice you made this morning to come in to spend your time and your money, comment money in someone's kitchen, get me paid, but you don't know where you are or care. Hmm. You might want to think about your life choices, friend. Bye.